Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I would like to wish you a very warm welcome on behalf of the Institute for Philosophy and Social Theory, on behalf of its partners, Center for Ethics, Law and Applied Philosophy, and Center for Advanced Studies from Rijeka. We are really happy to see you today here with us in this really huge event, which was organized by the Group for Social Engagement Studies of the Institute for Philosophy and Social Theory. And I would like to say in the beginning that this was really a challenging event and challenging organization for us. And I'm really happy to see you in such big number here. And I know that some of you will join us also this afternoon and tomorrow. But standing today here is for me huge responsibility, but also huge honor. Responsibility because we are wishing very warm welcome to more than 100 people today here in Belgrade, who are all dealing with some aspect of engagement of Michel Foucault. As you know, this event is organized on the occasion of commemoration of 30 years of passing away of Michel Foucault, one of the, I may say, greatest philosophers of 20th century, French philosophers. And I'm standing today here and greeting you on behalf of Peter Bojanic, director of the Institute, who is by very, let's say, fortunate or unfortunate chance, today is in Paris and giving a speech on commemoration of 10 years of death of Jacques Derrida. So we are having two big events in philosophy today, one here in Belgrade, another in Paris. And I'm really honored that I can greet you today on behalf of the Institute and the group. All this event wouldn't be possible, and believe me, there were many difficulties in organizing it due to many budgetary costs in Serbia and due to difficult situation for science here, if we didn't receive support from our really valuable partner, Fund for Open Society office in Serbia. And I would like to welcome Radmila Maslovaric, Program Director of Fund for Open Society, who can address us with a few words.
Thank you, Gazela. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed conference participants, it gives me great pleasure and honor to be able to address and welcome you today on behalf of the Open Society Foundation Serbia. We work toward building pluralism in the public sphere and empowering citizens to take active part and make informed decisions and responsible choices. In the context of growing polarization, a shrinking public space for free expression and debate, a growing uncertainty about the future, resulting in citizens losing motivation to actively participate in societal affairs, and a tendency toward closing into rather than opening toward. How is engagement, social or societal engagement, redefined? What is the role and responsibility of the citizen, the academic, the intellectual, the elite in this new paradigm? Who is the intellectual elite today? And is it aware of its critical role and responsibility in debating and defining the directions in which our societies are heading and the values upon which the future development is based upon? Wherein lies the power of today's public intellectual and engaged intellectual? Is it in the number of shares and tweets in the social networks or elsewhere? How are ideas, theory, knowledge translated into effective civic action? How is new activism generated? And what does social mobilization in today's world entail? These are but some of the issues and questions we deem relevant in pursuing our open society mission, that I'm sure none of us has ready answers to. But we hope that this conference will provide a platform and space for critical and constructive overview and debate over these and other relevant issues and contemporary social phenomena. We wish you a productive and successful conference over the next few days and a pleasant stay in Belgrade. Thank you very much.
Dear Ms. Masloveric, your support was really valuable for us, and I could say that Fund for Open Society is one of the rare institutions here, foundations, who is recognizing really the importance of having discussion and critical thought here in Serbia, and I strongly believe that you will continue supporting us and other initiatives like this. Thank you very much once more. Next to the Fund for Open Society, we also received support from a few other institutions and foundations, which I would like to mention now. That is Heinrich Bell Stiftung, Heinrich Bell Foundation, also to whom I very much welcome, a French Cultural Center, and finally we have support in every our activity of the Institute by our Ministry of Education, Science and Technological Development. I would like also to say that today, on behalf of the, let's say, somehow state institution who are in charge for science in Serbia, we are welcoming Ms. Aleksandra Drecun, who is a person who is, I would say, the person who really understands what does it mean science in Serbia and what does it mean to promote science in Serbia. As we are speaking now, there is a fair of science for young people here in Serbia, which is organized by our Center for Promotion of Science. And I would like to invite the director of the center, Aleksandra Drecun, to address us in a few words. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this introduction. Welcome to Serbia, welcome to Belgrade, welcome to the society that really needs to open discussions on so many issues, and the country that needs you to come here and to understand us better. And also welcome to Kolarac. This is so-called, its official title of this institution, People's University. We often have our programs here, and especially for young people, and how do we start? We take them to the big hall. That's the place where we have our famous Belgrade Philharmonic Orchestra concerts every Friday, and many, many other initiatives. We take kids there, and then we tell them, okay, this is Kolarac. One day you might perform here, one day you might give a lecture, because it's for art and science, the hall and the establishment. And we tell them this was donated to the people of Serbia to better their education and to make them more scientifically literate. And then children look at us, what do you mean given by somebody? So the gentleman under the name of Kolarac, that was his nickname, gave this building. You mean it was his building and he gave the building to somebody? Well, we badly need to discuss and rediscuss so many issues here, because our children, most of them, we did it with many, many groups, and especially on the occasion of having Asimo Robot here, the famous one who was here before he met Obama in Japan. And our children are surprised by so many things that even my generation, and probably I see many young places, your generation considers somehow normal but not very evident, people being engaged. So I wanted to start with mentioning the name of Kolarac. This is People's University, and we use it to the full extent. What was strange and probably goes with the paradigm that is present so much in many societies, not only in Serbia. This institution does not receive support from the state, although it was given to the people of Serbia. And there is a group of very, very active people and knowledgeable people here that are applying for programs, but they do not receive any subsidies. So it's another thing that shows how many open issues and questions we have here, and how much you need to look at them and what you need somehow to resolve. So that was just for the beginning. We are at Kolarac, and I want also people from Serbia to remind themselves that there are people, and we should be one of those that are thinking on what is going to be better on this world once we leave it, and what is our role. Speaking of the roles, there is the role of science that was mentioned previously by the speakers and colleagues, and the foundation as well. Well, it is also debated. We know, unfortunately, that scientists here, and that's the impression that I've felt with and shared with many, also in the European Union and wider, because we participate, luckily, in many of those programs, science does not really has the role that it deserves, at least the role that we would love science to have in the society. I feel at home here because this is the Center for Ethics, for Law and Applied Philosophy. I'm a lawyer by training, and I'm really happy to see people involved in social sciences and humanities participating in such an event, that there are so many young faces here, and that we debate science. Our title, and I represent here a state institution which was established with the aim to promote science and technology, meaning overall concept of questioning everything, but also bringing closer to the society latest achievements. And what is strange, people from social sciences do not think that they belong under the scope of our partnerships. And we often need to remind them that we do really consider social sciences as well, because especially in Serbia, our language covers everything. In English-speaking countries, when you say science, basically people have in mind natural sciences, also technology, engineering, and math, and social sciences are somehow excluded. That goes also for social sciences in Horizon 2020. We participate as Serbia in those programs, and we've been very lucky to participate in Framework Program 6 and 7 as well, which means that we are fully integrated for many years now in European research area. But also there, you see it at the highest level, that social sciences are struggling, and somehow the share of the pie that belongs to social sciences is being eaten every day, but something which is called innovation, for instance, but has in mind just technical innovations. On the other hand, the whole program, if you look at the European Union as now one that is trying to catch up with that fast train of transition and catch up with the States and with Asia, it's very important and it's very mentioned, and the whole structure of scientific budget, let's put it in that very obvious and understandable way, is organized around societal challenges. And who needs to answer and who needs to give some proposal on how to resolve them? Well, that cannot be just physics, that cannot be just mathematics, although we probably as lawyers and philosophers, we do understand its importance and we admire it greatly, but there is a huge, not only potential, but need for you and for your colleagues to work together with all those who are looking at technology and innovation, and then to find some new social innovations and to find a place for your sciences and for your topics. To tell you, and I'll try to just share with you a few sentences. This Monday we've been in Brussels as a state delegation. There were many people there on the bilateral screening, so-called. So people in Serbia are familiar. We are in the middle of our formal EU integration, although we have always considered ourselves Europeans, and we know that we are. So we had topics that were to be presented to the EU to show the level of accordance and the level of the state of art of Serbian science. Major topics. Well, they're all around the topic of science with and for society. Open access, governance, engagement, gender. What else? You would understand the direction. Ethics, of course. I've forgotten my pet project and the main issue. All of it is now having a new European lingua, and it's called responsible research and innovation. And I think gatherings like this and conferences and seminars, especially with such young audience, are the right place to discuss those issues. So probably not many of you have direct contact with the programs that are there for 2016 and 2017, and they're designing the budgets and calls. Well, those are the topics. So now everyone is debating what is responsible research and innovation. And it's not in terms just of ethics and being ethical in doing your research. Responsible means that you take into account gender as well, but not only the number of teams and the gender balance in researchers. Luckily in Serbia we are 50-50, probably because, pardon me for this saying, but maybe the salaries are so low that it's not really attractive for those that are power breakers, but leaving that aside. So to be ethical and to follow the gender issues properly, you need also, for instance, especially in natural sciences, to take into account, which is not always the case, that there are differences, physical differences. And lately in the US, 10 medications were taken out of the market because all the research was done only on male stem cells. And now they're imposing new rules and giving money for different kind of research. In social sciences, it's a bit more evident, but I just wanted to share with you the hot topics. It's strange that we are putting it higher on the agenda. It should have been there always. And for you, philosophers, that was always the top priority, to see what is ethical, what is responsible. But luckily, and maybe it's another invitation for colleagues from Serbia, but also all of you, you should consider applying jointly for European programs. Because this event, I know that they put a lot of efforts, and it's great that we have such a young team, and not that gender balanced, I might say, but it's a good sign that we have female researchers as driving forces here. Consider having a joint application. There are so many things and so many, I would say, opportunities to link regionally, but also to show that, especially this part of the world, and I invite our colleagues that are out of the Balkans and this what is considered Southeastern Europe, let's do something together, really to put it, to make it evident to the rest of Europe and the rest of the world. So we use this opportunity also to invite you, as colleagues did, to explore a bit more on Belgrade, on people here. There are so many prejudices that we are facing with. There are so many mistakes that we have made, and we are aware of it. And it's great to have you here to be able to look really by yourself, and then to make some opinions and help us grow further and put us where we hope we belong. So with that, I'm thanking our organizers. I hope that you will put science at the right place, that you will find the proper role for science, and I will do my best, not only being a social scientist, but really truly believing in the importance of science and policies based on evidence, not the other way around, that we can do a lot. We should change that 99.1% difference that exists in every sphere of public life, and you can count on us for that. Thank you again for being here, and our doors are always open. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this comprehensive speech. I would like to say that you gave me a really good ground for saying why we started with this initiative in the beginning. I would say that philosophy of Michel Foucault really gives solid ground for exploring engagement. And engagement is really something which we miss today, and we wanted to see what is the possibility and what are the options of really having critical discussions, not only here in Serbia, because in the beginning we envisaged this event as something regional. By the end of the call which we launched, it was not regional anymore, it was really international, and I'm really happy that we have today with us people from Japan to Canada, which is enriching for this event, I'm sure. But engagement is something which we really want to take during this event. And as engagement is important, I would like also to thank to the people who were really believing in us from the beginning and who supported us in every possible sense. Our program committee, we have two members at this moment present here, that is Hajrudin Kromadžić, which I would like to thank him here, and our mentor, friend, and everything possible which we can envisage, Sanja Milutinović-Bojanić, who is also here with us. And in the end, before I'm giving a word to my very dear colleague who will introduce the motives of this conference and why we did all of this, I would like really to abuse the opportunity and to invite all my colleagues who were participating in the organization of this event, and that is Group for Social Engagement Studies, because social engagement is something which is important for us, and that's Anna, Igor, another Igor, Jelena, Marian, Mark, Srđan, Tamara, and Alexandra. Please stand up. Please stand up. And please. That is a group of very young enthusiasts, scientists, and researchers from social sciences and philosophy, humanities, let's say like that, who is working with all of us here to bring to the social sciences and to humanities really the place they deserve, not only in Serbia but wider. And I'm really hoping that this group will become recognized in the future as the group who started this huge trip to the future of social sciences in Serbia, because we started actually in the Institute for Philosophy and Social Theory, who was the place of critical thought many years ago. And now we are trying to revive that, and your support there is really valuable. And I would like to stop now and give a word to Adriana Zaharijević, who is coordinator of the Group of Social Engagement Studies, and who will explain you why we are here today.
Hello, dear colleagues, dear friends. I will read my speech because I'm too excited to even try to speak. So this is neither a plain welcome nor a conventional opening speech about the do's and whys of the conference. It is rather a thought piece consisting of thoughts which circulate for some time now in this and other parts of the world. These are thoughts that we all know and we all want to do something about. In this sense, I understand this conference as a point of their unfolding and of conferring. We will consult each other, compare opinions, discuss and deliberate, but also bestow upon ourselves gifts of being together as a community, if only for mere 3 days. No one could have articulated better the pains of opening than Michel Foucault himself. At his inaugural lecture at Collège de France, he calls others to join in, and I quote, "I think a good many people have a similar desire to be freed from the obligation to begin. But to this very common wish, the institution's reply is ironic because it solemnizes the beginnings, the silence, the distance." This speech has to be seen as a condensation of clamor and reverberation of voices, where the many people, and you saw them, they are really many and gender balanced, so where the many people of the Group for Social Engagement Studies speak, and where all of you are invited to join in order to pay tribute to Michel Foucault by doing exactly what he instructed us to do, to utilize his thought as the tool 30 years after, to even deform it, make it groan and protest. The very act of opening up of this toolbox, as Foucault termed his opus, produces jangle and clamor. At the very beginning, I mentioned thoughts we all seem to be sharing now. But what is that now in terms of community we build and share in terms of humanities and social sciences? We may say that, contrary to Foucault, we think in times when there are many histories of the present which quite shamelessly handle various quote-unquote ignoble materials. We think in times of hybrid pluridisciplinarity which unabashedly ignores the accusation of dealing with mediocrities. We think in times when thought is even encouraged to produce a continuous insurrection of subjugated knowledges. But ours is also the time of relentless mass production of obscure, unseen, unusable fragments of knowledge, and of mass production of people who produce them and are often thought of as valueless, surplus. Ours is the time of academic pop stars, commodified doomsayers, rather than engaged intellectuals of the time past. And on the other hand, of responsibilized, managerial subjects who read specialized literatures, write for minuscule audiences, and present rather than converse. Ours is the time when we must say, contrary to the famous song title, "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised," released in 1970 by Gil Scott-Heron, the same year when Foucault gave his inaugural lecture, that revolution will be retweeted. So I will not try to evoke here fields and spaces in which Foucault's thought has left an everlasting imprint. We will have the opportunity to touch and reflect upon many of them. Instead, let me try to think of how and why we should engage Michel Foucault. Following Foucault's cues, we should be able to think how to combine theory that has political meaning, utility, and effectiveness with the involvement, with the struggles taking place with the area in question. This is closely related to the question of what we do or should do. Do we play the role of prophetic intellectuals who think instead of others, prescribe objectives and means, and tell people what they should or ought to do? Or can we join in Foucault's dream of an intellectual who incessantly displaces herself, doesn't know exactly where he is heading nor what she'll think tomorrow because he is too attentive to the present? This question is also related to how we do things. Do we collaborate with practitioners in order to modify the institutions and practices we theorize about, which also allows for the possibility of the thought itself being reshaped in this process? We should be able to stop and think of how not to transfer the politicization of analysis, which is in itself laudable and necessary, to the politicization of human relationships. In other words, social engagement should be about production of communities and not about the production of enemies, of foes. If we follow Foucault, this is imperative, not because of inherent belief in the goodness of the world or the human nature. I quote, "What is good is something that comes through innovation. The good does not exist like this, in an atemporal sky with people who would be like the astrologers of the good, whose job is to determine what is the favorable nature of the stars. The good is defined by us. It is practiced. It is invented. And this is a collective work." End of quote. Finally, according to Foucault, social engagement needs to be firmly counter to all forms of fascism, free from totalizing paranoia, free from subdivisions and pyramidal hierarchizations. Being socially engaged should not entail grounding political practices in one truth, turning a proverbially correct orthodox thinking into a justification for action. Political practice should be an intensifier of thought, something which makes us think more and in a more dynamic manner, and by its very nature forces us to intervene and invent practice and the political. Being socially engaged is a collective work. It demands a group, a community. If we follow Foucault and not let ourselves become enamored with power, this community we produce in practice has to be a constant generator of de-individualization. This conference was conceived as highly participatory and will thus be open to the public. Not only because we are here sitting in the building called People's University, where from theory has spread into everyday life for decades, but also because we wanted to test and apply theory to where we are, what we do, and how we do things. Let us delve into the unsilencing, let us decompose the many distances that hinder our getting together. Let us engage, 30 years after, the thought of Michel Foucault. Thank you.